My never say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, or see them, yopo.
I'm very, very sad. And, Mr. Speaker, I want my colleagues to take a cue from some of the comments that Honorable Suhini made, and some of the comments that my colleague on the other side made. What we are doing is that we are shielding criminals in this chamber. Nobody is saying that a politician has stifled money. You have left office. Ernst & Young, Pricewaterhouse, and the Ghana Audit Service now goes to review transactions that are supposedly made in your name. And the auditor is saying that he could not validate those transactions because in some instances, the people that they claim you owe them said that you don't owe them. It is rather vindicating you. You should be happy. Mr. Speaker, this should tell us that we have to proceed beyond this. And Mr. Speaker, I would like to make an appeal to you under Order 262, that this should require further work by this House, and that you should set up an ad hoc committee to look into this matter and report back to this House. Mr. Speaker, I want to refer to the Minister for Defense. The Minister for Defense, the report says that in the GIFME system that he is saying we should use, it has been logged in the GIFME system that he signed a contract. It has been logged in the GIFME system that they issued a goods received note saying that they received vehicles. And on the basis of that, they have made a request on the Minister for Finance to pay. When the minister audited them, they realized that those things don't exist. So rather than being happy that they found out the people who were going to cheat in your name, you are here defending that you didn't sign anything. Exactly that is what the report is saying. The report is saying there was no such agreement. So if you said there's no agreement, that is what the report is saying. You say you didn't buy vehicles, but somebody left in the GIFME system that you have taken delivery of 6 vehicles. And the report is saying you did not take delivery of 6 vehicles. And the Minister for Finance is saying that they should pay because you did that. And the minister found out you didn't do that. Why should you be the one fighting this report? Mr. Speaker, I am really worried. And let me come back to one of the comments that my own colleague, Honorable Patribuama made. Honorable Patribuama made said that the people who are part of this and have been accused have not been given a hearing. Unless you don't understand an audit. In any audit, by the time you complete the audit, there are a series of meetings that you need to answer. Then even when you are not able to answer, before they exit, there will be a final conference where they will say, having gone through the audit, I have asked you to provide evidence of ABC. I came back again, you didn't get it. Now I'm leaving this place. Do you now have anything to tell me? If you don't have to tell me, I'm going to report this. And then I capture it in your management letter. Your responses are still not adequate. And because of that, it becomes an audit issue. And you are saying, because of that, the person has not been heard? I don't get it. It is simply that people don't understand the audit process. But if you understand an audit process, nobody involved in this did not meet the auditor. And so the report was laid here. So why are you in a hurry? It is the reason I am asking, it is the reason I'm calling on Speaker, it is the reason I'm calling on Speaker to refer this and the audit report to an ad hoc committee to review and come back to this House. And you will find out that you and I are protecting the civil and public who are there doing their own thing in our name. And when we come to tell you that this is what they are doing in your name, you now stand here and defend them and own it. I mean, I don't know why we are doing this to ourselves. I simply cannot tell why we are. Somebody left as a minister for trade. He did not authorize for the payment of any interest to any financial institution because he didn't do that. But in the GIFME system, it's been logged that some people should be paid interest in banks. You send auditors there and the people say, look, the state doesn't owe us any interest payment. And now that person sits here and you are defending that I didn't make any payment. It is precisely because
Adongo, your time is up. Yes, minority leadership.
Very disturbing and shocking statement that has been presented ably by the Honorable Deputy Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, first of all, this statement is properly situated under Standing Order 91, where the Speaker, where it is quoted that, where I quote, that the Speaker may make a statement on any matter of interest to the House. A Minister of State may make a statement of government policy, and the statement shall be limited to facts which are necessary to be made known to the House. So, Mr. Speaker, I see no reason why reference is made to the process as outlined in the Constitution with regard to how Auditor General report is presented. That is not contested. That is not in question at all. The fact is that the minister is making a statement and sharing facts that this House needs to know. Mr. Speaker, what is disturbing, especially listening to contributions, is that it seems to me that once again, as members of the political class, we are missing the plot. We are missing the point, and we are claiming this as our problem, which we will turn into a political football. Mr. Speaker, I expected that we're all going to be shocked and scandalized and speak in support of government's action to fix and rectify these problems. Because the minister in his statement did not even accuse any politician, past or present. He simply spoke to facts as contained in the Auditor General's report. And let us not delude ourselves. Every government in this country has either been toppled through a coup or through the ballot box as a result of corruption. Every time the people feel that their leadership or their leaders are corrupt, they choose a means of getting them out of power. In the Fourth Republic, we have been lucky, and we have been doing so through the ballot box. It does not mean that if we continue to ignore these challenges, we will always have the opportunity to be replaced through the ballot box. May God forbid, let us not ever get to a point where the decision will be taken for us to go decades backwards to get our leaders replaced through the barrel of the gun. Mr. Speaker, it should be shocking and scandalous to anybody to hear, for example, Mr. Speaker, that there was an attempt for payments to be made. For example, on page 5, the Deputy Minister makes the report to us that there were fictitious debts of 89.4 million. And how did it happen? That the then Ministry of Trade and Industry in 2024 submitted a request of 89.4 million to the Ministry of Finance to be transferred to 5 commercial banks as government contribution to interest payments under One District, One Factory initiative. Mr. Speaker, and he says that when auditors contacted these 5 banks to confirm the liability, every single one of them denied being owed any amount by government under the said arrangement. Mr. Speaker, how is it any of our colleagues on the other side's problem? How is it your problem for you to want to defend this? So, Mr. Speaker, let us be very careful. Let us all come together as members of parliament who are concerned about the loot that has been going on sometimes in our name as political class, as members of the political class, and ensure that we support the action that the minister and this government is taking to seal these loopholes and to hold the people responsible, and so that we can give assurance to our people that at least this generation of leaders are different and are committed to preserving the public funds. Mr. Speaker, these are not just figures. When you hear 89 million, when you hear 293 million, these are not just figures. These are missed jobs. These are missed roads. These are hospitals that are not built. And this leads to loss of lives. This creates more unemployment for our youth. So let us not just look at these figures and think that we can reduce them to political, ping pong games. Let us support the finance minister and this government to ensure that the people who have...
Remember your time, sir. Yeah.
It's a very good thing that is brought to attention. I believe that in their programs, they will pay attention to the issues that she raised in her statement, so that in funding, entities that will benefit from it can actually utilize them for the benefits of the health industry. Speaker, what we are also saying that they shouldn't centralize some of these programs. They should go to the regions and establish them, because the centralization is not helping. We have a lot of regional hospitals that are still reeling from the inadequacies of such facilities. So, as a member, I will pray that the health committee pays attention. I saw some of the members on the floor. I saw the chairman a while ago. They pay attention to some of these things, so that in their regional rounds, they can pay critical attention to how these are developing in the districts and the regions. Speaker, with these words, I thank the member for bringing this matter to attention. Thank you very much.
That brings us to the end of that statement. We then move to statement numbered H, standing in the name of Lawrence Ajinsam.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to make a statement on the importance of connecting entrepreneurs in the micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises landscape in Ghana. This was a commemorative statement last year, but it is finding its place now. This day presents an opportunity to raise the awareness of the importance of entrepreneurs in the Ghanaian economy and take actionable steps toward building a sustainable MSME outlook in Ghana. In Ghana, the informal sector of the economy is clothed in numerous MSMEs where massive economic activities are performed. However, the transformative capacity of the MSMEs has for a long period been ignored. Mr. Speaker, with your leave, I want to highlight Ghana's MSME statistical background. Ghana has about 1.9 million business establishments. Out of this, a total of 1.7 million are micro-sized enterprises, of which 464,100, which represent 27.3%, was recorded in the Ashanti region. In the Greater Accra region, there was a record of 379,100, representing 22.3%, whereas the remaining 14 regions cumulatively recorded 857,800 MSMEs, which represent 50.4%. Mr. Speaker, it will interest you to know that these businesses operate with approximately 1 to 5 employees and mostly lack the motivation to innovate. Mr. Speaker, according to the Ghana Statistical Service, approximately 70% of Ghana's GDP is attributed to the economic activities of MSMEs, whereas the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, emphasizes that these enterprises have been pivotal across various sectors of the Ghanaian economy, accounting for over 90% of businesses, which spans from agriculture, manufacturing, services, and trade. In the employment sector, Mr. Speaker, MSMEs have a share of about 80% of Ghana's labor force. Specifically, They account for about 85% of employment within the manufacturing sector, highlighting their significance in job creation and industrial development, as well as economic development. This brings me to the focus of today's discussion, the entrepreneurs. Mr. Speaker, the entrepreneurs in Ghana, who are hypothetically the brains of engine behind SME, drive an often neglected in terms of access to capital, that is finance and innovation. In emerging and developing economies, the International Trade Center, ITC, estimates that SME's financing gap as of 2020 was estimated as 19%, equivalent to 5.7 trillion. Nearly 70% of SMEs do not have access to funds from financial institutions, while additional 15% are underfinanced. As a result, many SMEs rely on less than ideal resources, such as internal funds or informal sources like family and friends to sustain their operation. In Ghana, most businesses shut down due to inadequate capitalization and access, especially for women. According to International Trade Center data, 45% of women-managed businesses face financial constraints, compared to 27% of men-managed businesses. Globally, over 1 million women do not use or lack access to formal financial systems. This has led to financing gap for formal women-owned small businesses of 1.9 trillion. This is why government must increase the funds allocated to Women Development Bank to fast-track its establishment. The idea of Women's Development Bank is commendable, and this can be used as a policy tool to connect women entrepreneurs. Moreover, Mr. Speaker, savings groups and cooperatives must be incentivized to formalize their services to extend access to capital to budding entrepreneurs, especially women in rural communities such as my constituency, which is the home to one of Ghana's famous tourist sites, the Kakum National Park. Mr. Speaker, on this note, kindly indulge me to plead with entrepreneurs to visit Here-Hon constituency, a constituency which is ripe with business opportunities such as oil palm plantation and processing, as well as rubber production and processing. Mr. Speaker, launching a national campaign on MSME academies and boot camps through Ghana Enterprise Agency, GA, and National Entrepreneurship Innovation Program, NEIP, is another policy initiative to consider. The campaign will see the affordability of finance by expanding the range of financing instruments beyond traditional banks, loans, and leverage digital technologies to reduce costs and expand outreach, and incentivize public-private synergies to de-risk and expand SME funding. Digital transformation cannot be ignored when discussing measures to connect entrepreneurs in Ghana. Right, Honorable Speaker? Digital technologies are pivotal for boosting MSME performance. For instance, e-commerce platforms can help companies to reduce search information costs, making it faster, easier, and cheaper to connect with buyers. These platforms have the capacity to connect businesses to foreign countries, which will allow them to sell beyond domestic markets. Mr. Speaker, digital transformation in Ghana must be a shared responsibility. As such, I propose some actions that can drive progress. There is the need for increased affordability. This can be achieved through encouraging public and private investment in broadband expansion, reducing the cost of internet connectivity, and enabling access to data processing infrastructure. There is also the need to close the skills gap. This can be done by integrating digital skills in education and training through establishing more STEM schools, which the previous administration had already started, and foster digital talent mobility. In concluding, Mr. Speaker, Ghana can become the entrepreneurial hub of Africa when Ghanaian entrepreneurs and businesses are given the right support by bringing them together on a common pedestal where innovation, productivity, and healthy competition is the trademark. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to speak to these issues. Thank you.
Honourable members, that's the statement. Yes, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I want to thank the maker of the statement, Honorable Jensen, for such a beautiful work. Mr. Speaker, I think this couldn't have come at a better time. And we had a celebration of the Ghanaian entrepreneur, how they matter or why they matter. I think that the importance of the entrepreneur in the micro SME sector cannot be overemphasized. And without repeating some of the things that my colleague has already enumerated for us, it is important for us to remember that these set of people, they drive 80% of employment. The much talk about unemployment situation. These are the people who drive over 80% of it and also 70% of GDP. And they cover a wide range of economic activities, from baking to food making to selling of cosmetics, etc., etc. And these people, entrepreneurs who operate in the micro SME sector, they adapt very fast to local needs. You go to a funeral and all the major economic activities you see around are controlled by these people. Call it selling of funeral paraphernalia or food or any other thing that will make people feel good at such functions. Now, these people also turn informal trade into registered businesses. So they form actually the starting point of our businesses in Ghana. And this, for me, is the importance why these people must be celebrated. Now, 4 things which actually also was espoused by the maker of the statement, which I risk to emphasize, is that the easier and cheaper financing, for me, is the most important thing that will make this sector grow. And how this can be carried out to the doorstep of the entrepreneur is what we need to actually emphasize as a nation. And I was happy to hear from the statement that the issue of Women's Development Bank, which has been so well established in all the documents that have been placed before Parliament, as coming from the ruling government as one of the things that will be done to boost the micro SME sector, would come into being. What we also need to remember is actually sharpening of the practical skills of these people. It's so important as a way of boosting the sector. I must also add that how we make regulation or how we make formalizing of this informal sector possible and better, or how we make it easier for them to formalize their informal trade, it's so important. So I wish to thank the maker of the statement that such brilliant ideas have been exposed on the floor of Parliament at such a time that we are actually preparing to take off as a nation as far as business is concerned. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Indulge me to take 2 minutes suspension. Yes, majority bench.
Speaker, let me commend. Oh, please.
Please, majority side, you have the floor.
Speaker, let me commend my brother Jinsem for this very good statement. Speaker, I won't belabor some of the points raised by my other colleagues. Speaker, one of the key problems adversely affecting SMEs in obtaining easy facilities include improper records. Speaker, it's such a big problem. They don't even keep proper books of accounts. And it's replete in some of the academic studies that have been done. So, as a people, we need to gradually move towards keeping proper books of accounts, also registering the entities with the Registrar General. Speaker, if you recall, during the COVID-19 era where businesses and entities were supposed to benefit from the COVID package, record keeping became a problem. That is why the Auditor General found for a fact that some of those windfall packages had to be paid from the tabletop cash because entities were not registered. They didn't have any records. They cannot even account for monies that they gave to the people. And again, when they take the facilities, people decide to go do other things for the purpose for which the funds are given. You are given a stimulus package. You decide to go and develop your home. And there's poor accountability. So, in as much as we are trying to draw attention to the problems they face and how government can intervene, the SMEs themselves, the penchant to always make the SMEs a sole proprietorship. It's a one-man business. The person decides the fate of the business. We should move away from that into proper record keeping. You can be a sole proprietorship, but where your records are properly kept and you are properly registered, some of these packages that government rolls out can come your way. Speaker, I believe that the trade, these days I'm interested in where some of these poignant statements are made. The relevant committees should be paying attention and taking note of the issues so that in their programs of activities where they go around or they exercise oversight, they can pay attention and bring about reforms. Because legislation is not always the only way to ensure that reforms come about in some of these sectors. When members also make statements, when they ask questions, they are all parts of tools that are available to us to ensure that we bring reform. So the Committee on Trade should pay attention to the issues the members raise as well as contained in the statement for their attention. Speaker, with these words, I thank you for the opportunity.
Honourable members, that brings us to the end of the statement and the reference. I'll proceed to give the floor to Honourable Dixon Chire-Dua, Member of Parliament for Brekum West.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity to make this urgent statement on the need for all stakeholders to commit to methane reduction and mitigation measures as a quick solution to address climate change. Mr. Speaker, following my participation in the methane session of the Inter-Parliamentary Union's parliamentary meeting at COP30 in Brazil last year, I rise to make this profound statement on the urgent need for all stakeholders to commit to methane reduction and mitigation measures, which are among the quickest ways to combat climate change. Mr. Speaker, as the world grapples with the escalating impacts of climate change, methane reduction has emerged as one of the most cost-effective and fastest ways to slow global warming. Methane is a harmful greenhouse gas that heats the earth more than 80 times as much as carbon dioxide over a 20-year period. It accounts for about 30% of the global temperature rise since the pre-industrial era. Methane is the second largest contributor to climate change after carbon dioxide, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, methane is a global issue with local consequences. When released into the atmosphere, it reacts with other gases to form ground-level ozone, a toxic air pollutant that causes about 1 million premature deaths globally each year. It harms food systems by reducing food yields of essential staples like rice, wheat, soya by 5 to 10% each year, thereby threatening global food security. Mr. Speaker, anthropogenic activities, that is human activities, account for 60% of global methane emissions. Agriculture is the largest emitter, 40%, with energy sources such as fossil fuels accounting for 35%, waste management 20%, and the other sources account for a meager 5%. Mr. Speaker, unlike the carbon dioxide, methane stays in the atmosphere for just only a decade, meaning that cutting methane emissions now can deliver rapid, tangible, and health benefits within our lifetimes. Mr. Speaker, under the distinguished leadership of the Right Honorable Speaker of this Parliament, Honorable Arman Baben, Ghana has demonstrated strong political commitment to climate action through active collaboration with the Interparliamentary Union. This partnership continues to build the capacity of members of Parliament by providing opportunities to participate in the Global Methane Project, which seeks to strengthen parliamentary engagement in the development and oversight of methane reduction policies. Mr. Speaker, in October last year, the Right Honorable Speaker Baben officially launched a strategic partnership with the IPU under the project titled Enhancing Parliamentary Action on Climate Change, Strengthening the Role of Parliament in Reducing Methane Emission. Mr. Speaker, with the support of the IPU, the Right Honorable Speaker organized a 3-day workshop and a site visit to rice farms in the eastern region of Ghana to engage farmers on the modern farming practices to tackle methane emissions effectively. Mr. Speaker, Parliament has the power to turn commitments into tangible outcomes through laws, through budgets, and oversight. In this regard, Mr. Speaker, I would like to suggest that this Honorable House take a more proactive role in the national methane reduction agenda in the following areas. 1, budgetary consideration and resource allocation. Mr. Speaker, I recall that at the launch of the strategic partnership with IPU last year, the Right Honorable Speaker urged the Budget Committee of this House to allocate substantial funds for climate action, especially those aimed at methane reduction. We have a responsibility as members of Parliament to ensure that ministries, agencies, and parliamentary committees are adequately funded to deliver our methane mandate. 2, legislative and policy review. Mr. Speaker, Parliament should consider opportunities to review and strengthen existing environmental, agricultural, energy, and waste management laws and policies, and include clear methane reduction measures. 3, stimulating national debate and citizens' participation. Mr. Speaker, members of this House should promote national awareness and encourage citizens' participation in methane reduction and mitigation efforts through statements, debates, and motions in this chamber. 4th, Mr. Speaker, I suggest that the Committee on Environment, Science and Technology should hold annual progress hearings on Ghana's methane reduction efforts by inviting relevant ministries and agencies to report on milestones and challenges they are facing. This will enhance transparency and accountability while maintaining political momentum. Mr. Speaker, the task before us is clear. It is time to move from commitment to action, from pledges to tangible results. Ghana's partnership with the IPU and other allies on the methane project shows clearly that parliamentary leadership can make a significant difference, not only in formulating policies, but also in holding climate promises to account. Mr. Speaker, by reducing methane emissions, we improve air quality, safeguard farmers, boost energy efficiency, and protect public health. It is therefore both a climate necessity and a moral duty. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for indulging me.
Honourable members, that's the statement ably made. Yes, Honourable Ako Nokwe.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to what I consider a very crucial statement, ably made by my colleague and friend. Right Honourable Speaker, climate change is real. Me, myself, coming from Evalodura, a coastal boy, a coastal man in Axim, Honourable Speaker, the effect of climate change, the rise of tidal wave, the destruction it causes from Axim all the way to Ketha is a real evidence that climate action is something that cannot be kicked over the line. But what is more revealing is that all this while, Right Honourable Speaker, the threat has been on carbon dioxide. Climate change has been centered on carbon dioxide, that it is one of the most dangerous components. But today, it's insightful to learn that methane is rather 80 times more harmful than carbon dioxide. And that is why I want to join in commending the Right Honourable Speaker in his own wisdom, after understanding and appreciate the threat of methane, to push for an awareness on the need of this country to battle it. Right Honourable Speaker, I was at the workshop, and it was amazing to learn that even the waste, open waste, and we know how many constituencies and as a country, how we are confronted with waste management. And it is that the emission from waste, it's just serious. So, Right Honourable Speaker, I want to say that as a nation, I believe we started. It is not a one-day event, a process, but we must, as my colleague suggested, attach more seriousness, more commitment to it. Because if we lose this fight, we, those in the sub-Saharan, the poor nations on this globe, we suffer more. We bear the brunt, the severest of brunt when it comes to climate action and climate consequences. So I want to commend my colleague once again, and I believe that I will add weight on his call, and as a nation, we cannot fail. We must fight this fight and put all the resources that is needed to ensure that we save this climate, this world, not for only ourselves, but the future generations. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity.
Yes, Honourable Stephen Omo.
Thank you once again, Mr. Speaker. When it comes to, first I would like to commend the maker of the statement because of its critical importance. Sorry, Mr. Speaker. Not only because of us as a country, but because of our continent and the globe. What is prevailing today is an indicative of the fact that as a sovereignty, we need to begin a new task of approaching this whole climate change, designing a new paradigm shift, because we think we are not feeling it tangibly. I see something different, because once it happens in Africa, the probability that it's getting to us is extremely high enough for us to accord it the needed concentration. Mr. Speaker, there are countries in Africa that because of climate change, there is an increased migration. They are leaving the country. They are closing schools because temperature went as high as 45%. Sudan and other parts of the world. It's affecting food, it's affecting water, it's affecting livelihood, and it's deteriorating their economies. And I think we cannot run away from them. Mr. Speaker, allow me to use this local dialect by speaking my language or dialect. Yasi who say ensure she obi abojisa na wafa calabash na di ensure gunado odi atu. Mr. Speaker, we are not far from the consequences our brothers from other parts of our continent are being confronted with. We need to put in place contingency measures. Because of time constraints, Mr. Speaker, I would like to suggest only one thing: research. We need to prioritize our research into some of these areas. Mr. Speaker, if you read, I think, Act 1056, which stipulates the fact that about 0.5% of our annual revenue budget has to go into research and development. I think the makers of that law had in mind some of these crucial or critical issues to be dealt with. However, I wonder if we as a country, whether party, government A or B, we actually adhere to this. If not, I would like to, based on this statement, very important statement, admonish the present authority to make sure that going forward, at least 0.5% of our revenue that we actually put in our budget goes into research and development, and substantial amount of this proportion must go into the areas that we can actually attain the requisite knowledge when it comes to climate change, so we can continue to put in place measures and contingencies and then policies or policy frameworks that will really put us in a position that will not be found wanting one day. I think just as the whole world is battling this, we as a country and as a sovereignty, being part of this whole global domain, should take it very serious. Apart from that, Mr. Speaker, I would like to say that we need to continue as a House, accord climate change as one of the important issues that in this House we need to continue to work on that and make sure that, we wouldn't one day get into that situation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Stephen Amwa, except that the words in tree that has not been translated into English is hereby ordered to be expunged from the record.
Yes, well, can I then explain
minority leadership.
Speaker, I don't know if else I will yield, but if not.
Well, majority leadership.
Yes, well, can I translate my words? If I can have the
opportunity. We'll pass through that stage. It's now majority's turn to...
Oh, he is my brother.
No, you should be observing the rules. The rule says official language is English.
Thank you, Mr.
Speaker. Yeah.
I yield to the Honorable Dr. Halik on this point.
Yes, Honorable Doctor.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity to associate myself with a statement made by my colleague. Right Honorable Speaker, if you look at the issues of climate change and the greenhouse gases, like they said initially, most of the time we have just been looking at carbon dioxide, but there are other gases within the atmosphere that contributes to the greenhouse effect. That includes nitrous oxide, methane, even water vapor is part of the contribution. The issues of climate change goes beyond just what we see. If you look generally in the world, we now have issues of climate change related to gender. We have issues of climate change related to conflict, etc., etc. But let's come back home to Africa. Right, Honorable Speaker, Africa contributes just about 4% to greenhouse emission, even though we house just about 17% of the world population. But the effect and impact of global warming, it felt immensely in Africa, where we have rising sunshine, rising heat, melting of the ice block, flooding, tsunamis, etc. Through all these ones, Mr. Speaker, in 2000 alone, Africa's emission was about 0.8 metric tons per compound, as compared to 3.9 that is done worldwide. This still tells you how little we contribute to greenhouse effect. But what happens? At the end of the day, when Africa goes out to the world to ask for mitigation effect, to ask for aid, the feeling we get as Africans is that we have come cup in hand. But I think it's just legitimate that the continent that does less but feels more effect, the rest of the world should be able to cushion us. Right, Honorable Speaker, it is estimated that Africa loses about $7 to $15 billion each year to climate change. And it's estimated that this amount is going to go up to as much as $30 billion by 2030. So this makes this issue of climate change very, very critical. Right, Honorable Speaker, I'm just from Tamale. In the past 2 days, temperatures are rising between 39 and 40 degrees. People are fasting in the northern region. People are dehydrating. People's kidneys are getting a shot. In the next few years, right, Honorable Speaker, we are going to feel that effect of that climate change on the health of the people of the northern region, on the health of the ordinary Ghanaian. So what we are saying is that this issue of climate change is very, very, very critical. You and I, this House, the entirety of Ghanaians, we need to contribute to make sure that we are reducing our effect on the greenhouse emission. What can we do as a country? Worldwide, the issue of carbon credits is coming up, where countries, etc., are giving aid depending on how they are cutting on carbon emission. The other thing we can do, Mr. Speaker, look around our communities. Look around Ghana. We are cutting down trees to put up high-rise buildings. We are cutting down even trees along water bodies, etc. At the end of the day, we create climate change problems. At the end of the day, we have our fellows from Niger, from Senegal. They are walking upon our streets. Sometimes we are not happy to see them. But you know why they are here, Mr. Speaker? The issue of climate change. There's drought in Senegal. There's drought in Cameroon. There's drought in that area. What do the people have to do? They would rather move towards where they can have self-sufficiency. So, right, Honorable Speaker, like my colleague said, it's a very serious issue. This House must take it very seriously. If not, at the end of the day, we are going to spend so much of the money that we do not have to solve the problems of climate change. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity.
Yes, thank you. Our members, that statement has also ended. We will take statement numbered K, standing in the name of Honorable Solomon Kuyong, Member of Parliament for Krachi, Jumuru.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to make a statement on the importance or the agent for a national youth development fund. Right, Honorable Speaker, I am grateful for the opportunity to make this important statement on the floor of this august House. Mr. Speaker, I rise today not to speak of problems, but of potential. I rise to speak of our nation's greatest and most abundant resource, the energy, the ambition, and the boundless imagination of the Ghanaian youth. From the fishing community along the Volta Lake, my constituency of Krachi and Chumbru, to the bustling tech hubs of Accra, there is a generation of young people who are not waiting for the future. They are ready to build it themselves. But, Mr. Speaker, readiness is not enough. Ambition must be met with opportunity. A dream, no matter how brilliant, cannot take flight without the wing of capital beneath its wings. The reality in Kratchi and Chumbru, as it is in countless constituencies across our nation, is that we have a generation of talent that is being held back by a single formidable barrier, the lack of accessible, patient, and empowering finance. We have young graduates with innovative agribusiness ideas who cannot afford their first piece of land. We have brilliant young women who have mastered a trade but cannot afford the tools to start their own workshop. We have tech-savvy youth with world-changing app ideas who have no path to seed funding. We have in essence, a national engine of innovation that is idling, waiting for the fuel to ignite it. Mr. Speaker, this is not a critique of any single government or policy. It is a recognition of a structural gap in our national development architecture. For too long, our approach to youth empowerment has been a patchwork of short-term programs and temporary interventions. While well-intentioned, these initiatives often lack the scale, the sustainability, and the long-term vision required to address a challenge of this magnitude. They provide temporary relief, but they do not build permanent pathways to prosperity. The time has come for a bolder, more permanent vision. That is why I stand here today to propose the establishment of a National Youth Development Fund. This will not be just another government program subject to the shifting priorities of annual budgets. I envision a dedicated, professionally managed, and politically independent national endowment established by an act of this Parliament, a fund that is insulated from the vagaries of political cycles, with a governance structure that commands the confidence of the private sector, our development partners, and most importantly, the young people it is designed to serve. This fund must operate not as a handout, but as a strategic long-term investment in the future economic and social architecture of Ghana. This mission of this fund will be clear and focused to provide the critical missing link between youthful ambition and economic reality. It will be built on 3 core pillars, each designed to address a specific stage of the youth economic journey. Pillar 1, seed capital for youth startups. This is the foundational pillar. It will provide macro grants, low interest, concessionary loans to young entrepreneurs aged 18 to 35, enabling them to launch their first business ventures. This is for the young woman in Chendere who needs a new oven for her bakery, the young man in Ketikrachi who needs to buy his own fishing nets, or the graduate in Accra who needs to purchase a laptop to start a graphic design business. This pillar is about democratizing the opportunity to try to innovate and to take that first crucial step towards self-reliance. Pillar 2, scale up financing for growth. The second pillar is about identifying and nurturing success. The fund will provide a second tier of financing, venture capital, and growth loans for promising youth-led small and medium-sized enterprises that have demonstrated viability and have the potential to scale. The goal here is not just to create self-employment, but to create employers. We must invest in the young entrepreneurs who can grow their businesses from 2 employees to 10, from 10 to 50, creating a powerful multiplier effect on job creation across the country. Pillar 3, skills and innovation grants. The third pillar recognizes that capital alone is not enough. The fund will provide dedicated grants to support modern apprenticeships, market-relevant vocational training, and the establishment of innovation and technology hubs in every region of Ghana. This ensures that the skills we are teaching our youth are directly linked to the demands of the 21st century economy. It will support the master craftsmen who are passing on their knowledge and fund the co-working spaces where the next generation of Ghanaian tech innovators can collaborate and create tech innovations and collaborate and create. Mr. Speaker, this is not a partisan issue. The challenge of youth unemployment does not wear the colors of the NDC or the NPP. It is a national challenge that demands a national consensus. The aspirations of a young person in my constituency are no different from the aspirations of a young person in any other. I therefore call on the leadership of this House to form a bipartisan working group, drawing members from both sides of the aisles to begin the urgent work of drafting the enabling legislation that will bring this fund to life. Let us work together to design a sustainable funding mechanism. Let us explore, for instance, a small dedicated levy on the profits of our extractive or telecommunications sectors, industries that benefit immensely from our national resources and our national markets. Let us create a framework that attracts contributions from our international development partners and encourages corporate social responsibility investment from the private sector. And let us back this with a dedicated multi-year budgetary allocation from the state to build an endowment that will serve generations of Ghanaians yet to come. Mr. Speaker, Let me conclude by speaking directly to the young people of Kratchi, Nchumbru, and indeed all of Ghana. We see your potential. We hear your aspirations, and we understand that your success is inextricably linked to the success of our nation. You are not leaders of tomorrow. You are leaders of today, waiting for the tools to build a better Ghana. Investing in you is the single greatest economic decision we can make. It is how we transform our demographic dividend from a potential risk into a historic opportunity. It is how we build a more inclusive, more prosperous, and more resilient nation from the ground up. Let this 9th Parliament be remembered not for its division, but for its unity of purpose on this critical issue. Let us be remembered as the generation of leaders who did not just talk about the future, but took the bold, decisive, and historic step to fund it. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Yes, Honorable Nitiwul.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to support the maker of the statement. It's a very good call, Mr. Speaker. The National Youth Development Fund concept is not new. In fact, in the Eastern African countries, it's very widespread. It's many countries, Namibia, many countries, we have that fund. And in those countries, the fund primarily fills a certain gap. Because if you are a very young person who completes school, the difficulty of having to have collateral to be able to get a loan is very, very high, extremely very high. So they use this fund to provide collateral-free loans for the young people, and also virtually interest-free loans, because the interest is per annum between 2% to about 4% or even 3%. So if you can do this for the young people of this country, I'm quite sure that a lot of them with very good entrepreneurial ideas will succeed. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to support him and say that we should target the young people, not allow the fund to degenerate or the fund to be like the Maslow fund or all these kind of funds that people believe that it has become political funds, where you bring the fund, you're only looking at your party members and your constituency members. No, it should be a fund that we should support for the young people of Ghana. All the loose money around, we can pull it together and put it there and tie it to the Ghana Development Bank, the Consolidated Development Bank or Ghana Development Bank or Agri-Development Bank. That will continuously be funding this, and government should be supporting them. And like I said, if we target certain core areas like agriculture, like ITC, manufacturing, creative industry, tourism, and get the youth to focus on these areas, I'm quite sure that we will succeed. Mr. Speaker, how can we explain to people that we are importing sugar to the tune of over 2 billion cedis? We are importing maize. We are importing rice to a tune of over 2 billion Ghana cedis. How? Why should we be doing that? Mr. Speaker, we should change it because we have very fertile lands. If you have the opportunity to fly across Ghana, especially in the southern sector, what we call the forest belt, Mr. Speaker, you'll be amazed about the quality of land that we have. So we have the land, and we should be able to get some of our young people to do that. Look, President Ofebuanyi, in those days, before you took up a ministerial position, one of the guiding principles he had was whether you had a cocoa farm, whether you had a farm. Otherwise, he will not make you a minister. If you became a minister, you must make sure that you have a big cocoa farm. The government will help you secure the land, and then they will ensure that you can do farming to support. And so, if we get our young people into agriculture, we get our young people into green economy, we get our young people into manufacturing, ITC, creative industry, and hospitality industry, we will be creating entrepreneurs. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, the biggest problem we are facing today is youth unemployment. That's the biggest problem. It's a time bomb. And I've always said it, that countries that fail to tackle youth employment are just waiting to